The aroma of my mother's Thanksgiving turkey, brined for 48 hours using her secret recipe, filled the sprawling suburban house the moment I stepped inside. I'd just finished a 72-hour shift at Chicago Memorial's ER, and the deep thrum of exhaustion in my bones was a physical thing. I'd only come to drop off the expensive European arthritis cream my dad had asked for, promising myself I wouldn't stay. But the roar of laughter from the den pulled me in. There they were, Mom, Dad, my sister Jessica, her husband Ben, and their twins, Connor and Chloe, all squeezed onto the oversized sectional, a football game blaring on the massive screen. The scene was a Norman Rockwell painting brought to life. "Catherine, you made it," Mom said, glancing up from the couch where Chloe was braiding her hair. Her smile was bright but distracted. "We're just having some pre-feast snacks. Help yourself to leftovers in the kitchen." "Leftovers? Before the feast?" I forced a laugh, placing the bag with the cream on the console table. "We ate earlier, sweetie. The twins had that massive Playdate pizza lunch and were starving again by 4, Dad explained, his eyes not leaving the TV where a replay was unfolding. You know growing kids. I did know. I'd treated plenty of them in the ER. I'd also texted Mom this morning, saying I was running on empty and would kill for one of her fresh, soft pretzels. Jessica's kids *mentioning *hunger had clearly trumped my * expressing *need. This was the fundamental law of our family universe. The evening was a symphony of their lives. Jessica's recent partnership at her law firm, Ben's startup's second round of funding, Connor's elite hockey prospects, and Chloe's lead in the school musical. My parents were rapt, their pride a tangible force in the room. Dad fetched Ben another craft beer from the basement fridge. Mom presented a perfectly decorated cupcake to Chloe for energy. I was a ghost in the room. An audience member who'd missed the first act. The fracture came during cleanup. Chloe, hyped on sugar, spun through the living room with a full glass of grape juice. It slipped from her hand, a purple tsunami crashing onto the pristine, cream-colored Berber rug. I moved instinctively, heading for the baking soda and vinegar I knew were under the sink. But my mother was faster. She didn't scold. She laughed, that light, tinkling laugh reserved solely for her grandchildren. "Oh, sweetheart, the rug has been wanting a new personality. Let's get you cleaned up." A weary, bitter truth pushed past my lips. "That juice will stain permanently, Mom. It needs immediate treatment." The festive chatter died. My mother straightened up, her festive apron suddenly looking like armor. "It's just a rug, Catherine. Things are replaceable." Must you always bring the mood down with practicality? The years of being the practical one, the reliable, unfun one, the one whose crises were never as urgent, coalesced into a sharp point of pain. If I'd done that at her age, you'd have grounded me for a week and made me pay for the cleaning. Jessica tried to step in. "Kate, come on, it's Thanksgiving." But my mother cut her off, her voice cool and perfectly calibrated, each word a needle of dry ice. "You need to adjust your expectations, Catherine. Jessica has a family. She has a husband, children, and a real household. That unit, that future, it will always come first. That's just reality. You with your career and your apartment, you're on your own track. You're always last. It's the natural way of things." The air left the room. I stood there, holding a platter of discarded turkey bones, feeling like I was made of glass. I looked to my father, my last hope for an ally. He studied the label of his beer bottle with intense interest. "Your mother has a point, Katie," he said softly, not meeting my eyes. "It's not about love, it's about the stages of life. A family with kids, it's the priority. Always last." The words didn't just hurt, they performed a brutal taxonomy of my worth. I was the independent one, the backup daughter, the emotional utility player benched until a crisis required my specific skills. I left without saying goodbye. The drive back to my Lincoln Park apartment was a blur of cold, silent tears cutting through the glow of holiday lights. For weeks, their words were the soundtrack to my life. I moved through the controlled chaos of the ER, diagnosing fractures and stabilizing heart rates, while inside, I felt permanently dislocated. I stopped initiating calls. The family group chat, once a barrage of twin updates and Jessica's vacation plans, fell silent on my end. Their reciprocal silence was a confirmation more deafening than the shouting match I'd imagined. The test came 3 months later. My dad took a bad fall on an icy driveway, fracturing his hip. My mother called, her voice thin with panic. "Catherine, you need to come now. The hospital is a nightmare, and the doctor is talking about surgery and rehab." And I just caw. The old Catherine would have been in the car, sirens in her heart, commandeering the situation. But the Catherine who was always last felt a new, cold steel in her spine. "Mom, I'm in the middle of a trauma shift. I can't leave. Jessica and Ben are there. They're the priority, they'll handle it. That's the natural order, right?" The shocked void on the other end of the line was my first, bitter taste of agency. I did go later, after my shift, still in my scrubs. I spoke to the orthopedic surgeon in precise medical jargon, arranged for a private room, and laid out the rehab timeline. I was efficient, compassionate even, but I was a consultant, not a daughter in crisis. The cord of obligatory duty had been cut. My salvation was the brutal, beautiful democracy of the ER. Here I was not last. I was Dr. Walker. My signature on a chart carried weight. My calm voice in a storm of pain was an anchor. I found my tribe in the cynical humor of the nurses, in the grateful grip of a homeless man's hand after I sutured his wound, in the shared, silent cups of coffee at 4 a.m. with the other residents. I flourished. I pursued a fellowship in emergency ultrasound, my research gaining notice. I bought a small, sturdy sailboat and named it Prognosis, finding a fierce peace on the vast, indifferent lake. I built a life. I adopted a 3-legged husky mix from a shelter and named him Trooper. I took up pottery, my hands learning to create calm shapes from spinning chaos. I started seeing a wildlife biologist named Leo, who was more comfortable with migratory patterns than family dramas and loved me for my quiet steadiness. Almost a year to the day after the declaration, Jessica rang my doorbell. She stood on my porch, her usual polished sheen replaced by a visible weariness. The golden child was tarnished. "Can we talk?" she asked, her breath making small clouds in the Chicago spring air. We sat on my balcony overlooking the city, Trooper at my feet. The space between us was filled with the distant hum of traffic. "They're not okay, Kate," she began. "Ben, he got an offer, an incredible one, head of product for a tech firm in Seattle. We leave after the school year ends." I sipped my tea, the warmth a comfort against the news that felt inevitable, not devastating. "They're unraveling," Jessica confessed, her voice cracking. "They invested everything in us, in the twins. We were their retirement plan, their Sunday dinners, their asterisk purpose asterisk. And now, their purpose is moving 2,000 miles away. And you've built a fortress here. A life that doesn't include them. I built a life where I'm not an afterthought, Jess. I know," the words burst from her, laced with a guilt I'd never heard before. I knew it was unfair. Every time Mom dropped everything to babysit, every time Dad funded a trip for us, but not for you, I told myself you were tougher, that you didn't need it. I was selfish. And they were blind. She looked around my apartment, the shelves of medical texts next to my lopsided pottery, the sailing charts pinned to the wall, Trooper's bed in the corner. It was a home that spoke of a self-created world. They want to see you. They're too proud and too ashamed to ask. But they're realizing their natural way of things ends with them sitting alone in a house that's too big, waiting for a FaceTime call. I didn't rush over. I let the reality settle. Their consequence wasn't a dramatic tragedy, but a slow, quiet relocation. When I finally visited the house in Oak Park, it felt like a museum. The air was still. The giant sectional seemed absurdly large. My father moved with a careful, hesitant gait. My mother's cooking had lost its confident flair. We sat at the granite kitchen island, the silence a heavy guest. "Seattle's got a lot of rain," my father finally said, staring out at the perfectly manicured, empty backyard. "It does," I agreed. My mother fidgeted with her wedding ring. Your boat, is it safe on the lake? It seems so small. It wasn't a question about maritime safety. My boat is just right for me, I said, my voice gentle but unwavering. It's where I go to remember that I'm the captain of my own ship. My father winced. My mother's eyes filled. What we said that Thanksgiving, my father started, his voice gravelly with emotion. It was the worst thing I've ever said to one of my children. It was your truth, I said, not unkindly. And hearing it was the gift that forced me to find my own. I don't live my life looking for a spot on your priority list anymore. I have my own list. And I can't be the solution to the loneliness you created by putting all your eggs in one basket that's now moving to another time zone. The metaphor was harsh, but they understood. I saw the devastating comprehension in their eyes. They hadn't just underestimated my need for their love, they had irrevocably changed its currency. I didn't abandon them. I am, after all, their daughter. I helped them find a vibrant, active senior community in Evanston, navigate the sale of the too-big house, and set up their finances for this new chapter. I visit every other Sunday. We have pleasant, structured lunches. We talk about my interesting cases, their new friends in the community, and Leo's latest wolf-tracking project. The conversations are fine. They are also profoundly shallow, a peaceful détente where the deep, messy war of familial need had once been. Jessica calls from Seattle, the twins' faces pixelated and excited on the iPad screen. My parents put on a brave, cheerful show. The emptiness in their sunny, two-bedroom apartment after the call ends is a living thing. Sometimes, driving back across the city, the skyline glittering, troopers snoozing in the passenger seat. I wonder what would have happened if their love had been an expanding frontier instead of a zero-sum game. But then I walk into my apartment, filled with the evidence of a life I authored. I feel the solid deck of prognosis asterisk under my feet, the respectful silence of my colleagues, the uncomplicated devotion of a rescued dog. The scar is there, a faint line you can only see in a certain light. It doesn't ache with wanting anymore. It's just a reminder of the navigation. They were wrong about the natural order. Family isn't a leaderboard, it's an ecosystem. And sometimes, a tree planted for shade in someone else's yard has to be uprooted. And in that painful transplanting, it discovers it can not only survive on its own, but grow taller and stronger than anyone, especially itself, ever imagined. If you found a piece of your own story here, in the quiet spaces between family expectations and self-discovery, you're not alone. For more journeys into the heart of what it means to build a life on your own terms, consider following along. Remember, your story isn't written in the margins of someone else's. It's your main text. Turn the page.